Is CM Punk untouchable in AEW? Was Jimmy Uso's reason for turning on Jay good enough? Should WWE bring back Lucha Underground? All these questions answered and more on today's Ask Steven Larson. Hey, friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And it's Wednesday. You know what that means. It's Ask Steven Larson Day.
That's right.
That's right. We go to the patrons at patreon.com/Steven Larson and the YouTube channel members. All you got to do is click join on the YouTube. And not only do you get to ask your questions here at Ask Steven Larson, you also get access to our bonus episodes and the Predictions Challenge. We've got the Week of Champions coming up at the end of August and the beginning of September.
Correct.
And you could participate in that as well. For doing any, if you do any of those things, you hit the join or you go to the Patreon. So, with that being said, Larson, what's the first question today?
First question today comes from Blake Whitehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Blake asks, is there anything CM Punk could do that is perfectly legal? Got preseason football in my mind.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
perfectly legal in the eyes of the law that would cause Tony Khan to actually fire him. So, correct me if I'm mistaken here. When the news started coming out that Punk was in fact returning, wasn't there some rumors, reports that he had to sign some documentation? Perhaps some non-disparagement type stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's what the rumor was. Yeah.
Yeah, in advance of him returning to AEW. Now, I think, obviously, those documents, those forms were in place to protect AEW should CM Punk have a repeat of what happened at the All Out Media Scrum.
Right, yeah.
In which event, if Punk violates the terms of those particular agreements, I would think AEW would, in theory, let him go.
Yeah. So I think, like bad mouthing the company, I think another brawl out would probably get the job done. I mean, the press conference, not even the backstage brawling.
Yeah.
I mean, the press conference, the media scrum. I think, I would think that him publicly running down the company or running down Tony Khan would probably get the job done. That would probably... it is still funny, like, after hearing about all this, it is funny because, like, the Fightful Select report that dropped yesterday about CM Punk and Jack Perry, and Punk, after multiple people in various departments telling Jack Perry it's not a good idea to do this glass bit with real glass, they asked Punk to go talk to him, and according to Fightful Select from Punk's camp, he did so in a calm, rational manner. It is curious, to say the least, that one promo from CM Punk that he regretted after the fact as having been a joke that didn't quite land. Mm-hmm. And then there's just a waterfall there's a flood of the Perry, the Jack Perry thing was like in June. Apparently that happened, according to Sean Ross Sapp anyways. And all the stuff about people being sent home, and Hangman apparently wasn't even sent, or he wasn't sent away. They just decided to do the promo from a different location.
Yeah.
It's just curious that, like, all this stuff, it's like somebody was waiting for him to slip, and then now that doesn't say there aren't issues there.
Yes.
But I don't know. The whole thing is disappointing, and it
seems untenable at this juncture.
It seems like it might get to that point. I mean, if the elite or whomever might be behind orchestrating this cavalcade of information against Punk, if they're responsible for it, it seems that these shenanigans are just going to continue. But the fact that he seems to be doing certain things that those people want to get out there because they don't think it's beneficial, the whole thing just seems like a mess.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, unless it is him directly criticizing in a way that echoes the original media scrum after All Out, unless it's that, I don't know that there's much else. Unless he loses the, there are multiple wrestlers who like CM Punk, FTR, Starks, Brody King, the entire House of Black, Danhausen, plenty of the wrestlers there in AEW, largely the ones on Collision, really appreciate CM Punk. If he loses them, then that might hurt his cause, even if it's nothing that happens publicly, if it's all behind the scenes. If he's the guy running the show and he doesn't have the locker room, with him, there just could be some backstage stuff that doesn't really make its way public that could be his undoing as well if he doesn't have anybody backing his various plays.
That's possible. I mean, I guess when it comes down to it, if he were to say or do something that in the eyes of Tony Khan would cost the company money.
Yeah.
Whether that's disparaging the company publicly, whatever the case may be, losing the portion of the locker room that he has, whatever the case may be. I think that would be, first and foremost, along with whatever paperwork or legal forms he had to sign before coming back. Those are probably the two ways that it could happen.
Barring that, though, it does seem like the guy is fairly untouchable, doesn't it?
Oh, look at this one. That's segue, because we got a question here from Andre Zimpel. At this point, do you feel that Phil is doing and saying anything he wants because he feels that he is
untouchable,
and Tony won't do anything since he brought him back and didn't buy out his contract?
So I'm going to say that I think Punk understands that he has a certain amount of leverage with Tony Khan.
Oh, he understands. He's got a ton of leverage with Tony Khan.
Well, a certain amount can be a large amount. A certain large amount. Does he feel untouchable? Here's my thing. And it's funny because, like, in the comment, I've somebody yesterday said, "Oh, I haven't heard you guys say one positive thing about Punk," even though in the episode yesterday I said I think that if he is responsible, which I think he is, for a lot of the direction of Collision. I like a lot of the direction of Collision.
We had an extended conversation about that.
I know people want to hear what they want to hear. But I do think that Punk is. I do think that he is trying to make Collision into a winner. I think that he is taking pride in making Collision into a winner, and regardless of what people have said about him in the past about being a locker room leader, I think he is trying to demonstrate that he's got leadership capabilities because. Leadership capabilities.
Thank you.
Because he feels he can craft Collision into a winner show. And in order to do so, he's the one heading up that task. And so he, by nature of that, it would automatically make him a leader. I think it's coming from a place not necessarily of ego, although I think plenty of that is involved.
Yeah.
But sometimes one comes with the other. He has the ego to think that he can make Collision into a winner, and maybe you need a character like that to do that. I don't know. It depends. I don't know which one's going to get in the way of which. Is Collision going to end up being a winner, or is his ego getting in the way of that ever coming to fruition?
Yeah, and we talked about that today on our Raw recap, whether the backstage drama, whether it's initiated from Punk, some other party, whoever, is that going to overshadow what Collision is and becomes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
If Collision ends up being a pretty huge success, not just in terms of ratings, even though this last Saturday didn't do very well.
Oh, I didn't even see the numbers. What was the numbers?
It was like 400. It was in the 400s, I think. It wasn't a huge increase from the one that was against SummerSlam.
Was there another SummerSlam this weekend? What happened this Saturday?
Not that I'm aware of.
Triple Mania didn't start till afterwards.
Yeah. So much for the AAA booking Triple Mania after Collision ends, huh?
Yeah, right.
But that's the risk: is does this drama overshadow whatever success the Collision has, whether it's in the ratings, whether it's creatively, whether it's both? If this stuff keeps happening,
yeah.
As far as Phil feeling untouchable, I'm guessing it's. You got it right. I'm sure he wants to genuinely make Collision a good show, maybe even better show than Dynamite.
Yeah.
Some of that might be because of ego. Some of that might be spite to stick it to the elite. And some of it just might be he has a vision of what he thinks wrestling should be, and he'd like to see if that is successful on a larger platform.
I think competition's not a terrible, that competition can be healthy, yeah.
It can be. Healthy competition could be healthy. Unhealthy competition, not so much. And he completely understands, I'm sure, the amount of leverage he has over Tony Khan. And I'm sure if he's in a position where he feels like if he needs to exploit that leverage to get something he wants, he knows how to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And he might not necessarily be afraid to do it. Is he untouchable? I think to a certain agree. But obviously, as we mentioned in the last question, if he signed stuff saying he can't do XYZ, he can't do those things. If he can't disparage the company, he can't do that. So it's not like he could go in front of an open mic again and blast everybody in the company. He can't do that again without losing his job.
Yeah.
So he's not completely untouchable.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But yeah, he completely understands the leverage he has, I would think, on Tony Khan.
Yeah, I would think so.
If he has to use it, he will.
I mean, if it's true that after his return, Tony Khan stood up at Gorilla and started chanting CM Punk, I mean, he probably realizes,
as Punk was walking by.
Yeah, as he was walking by. Would that make you feel uncomfortable?
Absolutely.
If you're Punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Or if you're just not Punk and you're just sitting there.
If I was there witnessing it,
I would cringe so hard.
That is a serious cringe moment, yeah.
If it's true. I hope it's not.
If it's true. Yeah, I know.
For Tony Khan's sake. I hope it's not true.
I know. We can segue this next question now. Ed Munoz says, in your opinion, what is worse? Getting accused of being an AEW mark or WWE mark? The former feels like they think it is cringy, balding elitist with no friends, while the latter thinks you're, wow.
Oh, wow.
Someone who doesn't watch real wrestling, respectively. Over the years, you guys have experience with being called both lol.
Yeah, dude, on a day-to-day basis. One day we could be called WWE drones. The next day we could be called AEW. I think it's been a while since we've been called AEW shill, though.
I feel like we've been pretty consistent with our criticism of AEW.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Watch what you like. If you don't like something, don't watch it.
Oh,
you don't have to
come on.
Blast somebody for liking something you don't.
Listen, no. That's a responsible.
I'm not throwing gasoline on the fire of tribalism, man.
Hold on. That's a responsible answer, and it's one that I endorse. However, that ain't the question. Let me read this again. What's worse? If you're an AEW mark, people think that you're a cringy, balding elitist. Well, both of us are balding. With no friends. We have friends. We're each other's friend.
Yeah, we have each other.
While the latter thinks that you're you didn't want to read this, I'll read it. You're a stupid man-child that doesn't watch a lot of real wrestling. I feel like what would be worse? I feel like being called an AEW mark is worse. I'd rather be a stupid man-child that doesn't watch a lot of real wrestling versus a cringy, balding elitist with no friends.
And why is that?
Which would you rather be, Larson? A cringy, balding elitist with no friends or a stupid
I feel like I already
child?
check at least a couple of those boxes right now.
Bro, look, I'm pretty sure I'm already a stupid man-child that doesn't like to watch a lot of real wrestling because I'm like, these 45-minute main events on Collision, they're too much.
They're getting a bit tiresome on a weekly basis.
Give me a 5-minute Omos match. Come on now.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's fun to be had, enjoyment to be had with both companies.
Let me ask you this, in the spirit of the question.
Sure.
Given that you're on, you're still on the Twitter, the X.
Yeah, in the mornings I'll drink my tea and eat my breakfast.
Let me ask you this. Do you go to the following tab or do you ever go to the For You tab?
So when I'm on in the morning, it's generally to check news for the show for the day. And so I'll generally go to the For You because then it gets outlets, news sources, and stuff that I may not follow. And also, not that I necessarily, for the most part, but the stuff I find on the For You tab, I want nothing to do with. But on occasion, there's a perspective that I go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's something to think about.
Yeah, I agree. I'm almost exclusively on the For You tab these days. And it's simply because even the people that I follow, I might miss something earlier and it'll show up in the For You tab.
Yeah. And I've managed to block enough accounts that even my For You tab is curated enough that I don't come across on a regular basis stuff that's too terribly cringy. It still happens and it pisses me off, but that happens, block, and then I move on with my day.
So I will say this, and this is not to disparage anybody who simply enjoys AEW or WWE or whatever. It's not, because we have plenty of friendos who love one or the other or both.
Yeah.
And they're totally normal people. They're regular people.
Yeah.
I have noticed though, and I honestly think it's because the people who want to criticize WWE the most have simply fallen off. They just don't pay attention to WWE because they left the product.
Yeah.
AEW, because it's so new, has this whole like subculture of really cringy, like, diehard AEW, AAW accounts that just completely go overboard. I tend to see a lot more now. There are plenty of then on the other side, like the AEW botches thing, where they pick apart every little botch and act like it's the end of the world. That's cringy as hell as well too.
Yeah.
But I have noticed that the AEW, like the super scary, passionate AEW fans seem to be a bit more there's a bit more of those than on the other side. Like, I don't see that same passion with pro WWE content.
There was a stretch where I did.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And I think because I've managed to curate my timeline to such a degree that it's I don't get the far extreme position so much anymore. So I actually don't see a whole lot of extreme WWE bias or extreme AEW bias. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because you're right. That stuff is total cringe. I don't want to see that stuff. Because it's just coming from of illogical fandom. There's no It's just because it's just whatever bias they have, whatever the case may be, and that drives the perspective, as opposed to, like, look, there's a lot of stuff that we appreciate about AEW. There's a lot of things they need to fix.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot I like about WWE. There's a lot about, in terms of their business practices, especially, that I really don't like.
Yeah.
Neither company is without their flaws. Mm-hmm. And to come from a position where my company is the ideal professional wrestling while this other one's hot garbage, sorry, you're not going to convince me. You're not.
Right. Yeah.
If your goal is going on social media to try to convince your average wrestling fan that this company's better than this one, when you're not willing to accept any criticism of the company that you are, number one fan of.
Yeah, right.
There's no point in engaging in that conversation.
Yeah, no, there really isn't. Although sometimes I do. No, I don't know. I think that, and on top of that, especially with like I've noticed this though, with the anti-AEW sentiment, which isn't even necessarily pro WWE sentiment. It seems like there's an element of fandom out there that's simply anti-AEW. Never says anything about WWE or nobody else. They just want to hate on AEW, which is interesting to me and disheartening to see it. But so much of the arguments are, I'm a big fan of having honesty in your arguments.
Yes.
And I see so much disingenuous, and this goes beyond wrestling. This is everywhere. So many dishonest, disingenuous arguments, anti-AEW sentiment that I don't really see much in WWE. But there's that element as well, that it's like, there's a lot you can say about AEW. There's a lot of criticism you can levy at AEW. A lot of the criticism. So you don't need to be dishonest with it often, So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Anyways, what's the next question?
Next question here from Mondo. Mondo asked, if the Screen Actors Guild strike goes on long enough that The Rock is actually available for WrestleMania, do you still think they'll go with Cody versus Roman, or they'll push Cody aside in favor of The Rock? It's going to be The Rock.
Push him out.
Sorry, Cody. Finish the story another time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Cody might have chosen the worst time to finish his story, because it might be a long time before
it might be a while, unless he changes his mind. The World Heavyweight Championship's finishing the story.
I have no idea if the strike is going to last another 8 months, but if The Rock, because I know The Rock has plenty of business interests, but given that Hollywood does take up a lot of his business interests, it wouldn't shock me if the strike was still going, if he was like, I can make time. I can totally make time now for a big payday and doing a Mania match.
And, like his fortunes in terms of the reception of his films of late has not been good. If he thinks, all right, I don't want to be, I still want to be part of the zeitgeist. I don't want popular culture to pass me by. I need to win. And maybe being involved in WrestleMania is that win that's going to get me back up to the upper echelon of Hollywood, following a string of flops.
Or at least, it doesn't even have to be, get back at the head of Hollywood. It's just like, I want to be part of the conversation that's out there.
I want to feel vital again. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And what better way to do that in front of 70,000. You know, they're gonna
80,000 people.
What's the do we know the capacity of where
for Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia?
Yeah, do we know
I
what
don't
that
off
is?
the top of my hand, but I can look that up.
Because as soon as they can, they're gonna try to beat, like, you know, whatever record AEW ends up setting with All In. They're gonna try to beat that for reals, not just a kayfabe number.
Yeah. I don't think it's one of the larger. So the capacity for a football game is 67,594. So it's not one of the larger stadiums.
That's not going to be much. Okay.
No, it's not like Dallas Cowboys Stadium, which could hold 100,000, or SoFi. I think it's 90 or 100. So
right. Yeah.
Like those are huge football stadiums.
Yeah.
Maybe even I don't know how large the one in Arizona where the Cardinals play. That might be up somewhere around there, but I could be wrong. I don't know for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we get on to our next question, let's go ahead and pay some bills, Larson.
Let's do it. Let's take a quick break here, friendos. This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know, Steve, for many of us, there are times in our lives where we may feel like we're at a bit of a crossroads, uncertain about where we're going in life. And for me, that happened when I was in my mid-20s, when I started feeling really overwhelmed by my life and developed severe anxiety. It got to the point where I realized that I had to go to therapy to find a path forward. Therapy helped me learn the tools I needed to better cope with my anxiety and set me on a path. I hope, becoming a better Larson.
Absolutely, man. And if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. BetterHelp is entirely online and is designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. And all you got to do to get started is fill out a brief online questionnaire. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
All right, next up we've got Mr. Cool Car 911. I'm sorry, Mr. Cool Carl.
Oh, Cool Carl. All right, I was going to ask what kind of cool car does Mr. Cool Car have?
I don't know. Maybe he's got a cool car. He's Cool Carl.
Maybe.
He asks, Jimmy's reason for betraying Jay was fear of Jay becoming more like Roman. To me, it felt like kind of a letdown. How or what way would you make that part of the story better?
You know, it's one of those tropes in wrestling where people don't talk when the show's not happening. Because that felt like that's a conversation that Jay and Jimmy, you know, in theory could have and should have had before the match, where Jimmy expressed to Jay, I understand Jimmy was supposed to be in the hospital, but what, did Jay not visit him in the hospital?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know, right, yeah.
Or call him or text him or something?
Yeah.
Anyways. Whereas a conversation to be had where Jimmy's like, hey, you better watch out, become tribal chief, you can become like Roman, and that's kind of scary, and what does that mean for us? Like,
yeah, right.
Express these reservations he has about this match, and Jay could sit and listen and be like, no, I understand that, Oos. Don't worry. Yeah. You know, we're going to do this together.
Got on lock.
Problem solved. Then so I get it in the sense that it's a rationale. It's not a bad reason for the attack.
Yeah.
But it's a rationale that seems like, all right, well, they just should have talked about that beforehand.
You know, if we had seen in some place during the story in the lead up or in between the SummerSlam match and preceding that by like a couple months or something, once the idea of Jay potentially having been tribal chief was broached, maybe they could have shown us hints at what Jay would have been like as tribal chief. And if it's stuff that Jimmy is uneasy with, or we get little hints that Jimmy's uneasy with it along the way, maybe that could have made that point that Jimmy was making a bit more palatable. I thought it was an effective segment, but I do agree that it sort of came out of nowhere. So yeah.
Yeah. As far as how to make that part of the story better, I mean, maybe this is not Jimmy's true rationale.
Yeah.
Maybe this isn't his true motives. Maybe he's under the thumb of Roman. He's trying to manipulate Jay like Roman has done for years.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it remains to be seen. Is Jimmy going to go back to the bloodline now that he's been kind of rejected by his brother?
Right.
So it remains to be seen where the story is going to go from here. So it's kind of hard to really say, well, is this the right turn for the story to take or not? I know initially it seems like a lot of people were kind of let down by it, but
yeah.
see where the story goes, and that kind of dovetails to our next question here from Jimmy Thomas. How long do you think Triple H gained the benefit of the doubt for bad booking in stories, getting the Vince got to it excuse? So essentially, how much longer will Triple H still get the benefit of the doubt, even if some of the creative isn't top notch, and won't be just kind of written off as, well, Vince got his hands on it?
Because everything Triple H does is great, and everything Vince does is bad, bad, bad. It's garbage. I'll say this. I think that for some people who have gone with the narrative, as false as I think it is, that Vince putting his hands on things is bad, Triple H, anything he does is good, will last as long as there's definitive proof that Vince is not doing things. Mm-hmm. I don't think some of these people are even above conspiracy theories about he's Vince is gone, doesn't matter, I know he's still doing it because this part here was bad.
Yeah.
It would have to be once the deal is sealed and Endeavor exercises their 6-5 advantage to kick Vince out. Mm-hmm. At that point, I think maybe that chatter will die down. But until Vince, for a certain segment of fans, until Vince is completely out of the picture, they're never going to believe it. At this point, dude, I don't even give Triple H necessarily the benefit of the doubt when it comes to certain things. Mm-hmm. The women's division, I'm always pleasantly surprised when they do really cool things with it. I do appreciate that they have a hell of a lot more stories going on than AEW does.
Yep.
But SummerSlam, I view SummerSlam, my own personal conspiracy theory is Vince ain't doing shit right now. Mm-hmm. I look at SummerSlam, and maybe there are holdover Vinceisms like the alliterative names. I think maybe to keep, I think Vince rehabbing or going through whatever he's going through with his back surgery, we haven't heard anything lately about show being changed around excessively or Vince had his hands in it. I think that's because he ain't around. I think SummerSlam was completely a Triple H affair.
Yep.
And that's for good or for bad. So I at this point, I think it's Triple H, and when there are lazy creative elements or misfires, I put it on Triple H.
Same, yeah. And, we got to understand that Triple H sat in the learning tree of Vince for a very long time. And while they don't, obviously, from a creative standpoint, agree on everything, I think Triple H has spoken about this. I think just lately he said there wouldn't be professional wrestling if Vince essentially hadn't taken WWE National,
Yeah.
So there's certain aspects of how Vince approaches creative that I think Triple H appreciates.
Oh, yeah.
And sees in the past has been successful and is probably hesitant to run away from.
It would be the scariest thing in the world. You've got a company that is it's built off of these $1 billion TV and streaming deals. Mm-hmm. You are not going to change the formula that
not
much.
Wholesale. Nope.
No way.
Nope. Yeah, we haven't seen. Just about a year plus of Triple H, more or less, day to day being in charge of creative, and we've seen changes. I'm not going to say there hasn't been changes, but has there been a sea change in terms of WWE's creative? No. It's been a streamlined, forward-moving version of what we got before. Mm-hmm. It's. Honestly, a lot of it feels like, I don't know, mid-aughts, because I think Triple H had a lot of power back then, and I think there was not a power struggle. I think he just had sway with Vince. He had Vince's ear, and at a certain point, Vince saw Triple H as either competition or not good enough when NXT died, and that's when that's when it started really going to shit. But no, I think that I don't know. I lost my point here. Sorry. That's all right.
Yeah,
you move on.
Luis here asks. I said what I wanted to say.
Luis asks, was Vince Russo's Crash TV really as bad as people remember? I think yes. I think Luis just answered his own question.
Luis answered his own question. Ask Steve Larson and Luis. Luis says
there we go.
Yes.
Luis says yes.
Crash TV, bro. Larson, bro. What do you think about Crash TV, bro?
A lot of people look back at the Attitude Era as the halcyon days of professional wrestling. And in terms of the energy, the how pro wrestling seemed vital in terms of popular culture, we have yet to really get to that point ever again. That being said, there was a lot on Vince Russo Raws that was garbage, absolute garbage.
Garbage.
A lot of his stuff he did in WCW was absolute garbage.
Yeah.
In terms of the general philosophy of throwing so much at a viewer at home that they just can't turn the channel, I understand that if it fit the times.
Yeah.
And it made the episodes of Raw, especially not so much WCW, but Raw at the time, just felt like, because he had stories crossing over and everybody was doing something.
Yeah, right.
Let's say what they were doing was good or not, but they were doing something, and stuff would happen backstage that lead to stuff happening in the ring and vice versa. And there was you didn't have the opportunity to catch your breath watching those episodes of Raw.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And for that time period, it like I said, it just had that energy.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not going to say it's not across the board awful, but I'm also going to say, he's a creative genius that should be revered, because that's not true either. There was good and there was a lot of bad.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know what influence he had, specifically Russo had, when it came to transitioning from 95, 96 Raw into 96, 97 Raw, and then 98, which is where it really took off. Yeah. I don't know if the Crash TV concept was something that, because there is a big difference between 95 Raw and 97 Raw. Talk about a sea change.
Yeah.
And if Vince Russo was responsible for sort of, injecting some adrenaline into the product, because it was slow and lethargic and boring in 95. And then by the time we got to 97, like you said, it feels vital and energetic. And if that shot of adrenaline right there was largely due to Vince Russo, and I don't know that it was, but if that was the case, he deserves a lot of credit for that, because it did get really, the energy was kind of everything,
Yeah, it really was.
I don't know that I'll ever agree with you should have 3-minute matches instead of 15-minute matches.
Yeah.
And then, just so many segments and backstage. I mean, if you want talkie TV, there's a lot of that, but it's all, a lot of it was entertaining. A lot of it was cringy. And so, with the credit that you give, you also have to, levy the criticism that a lot of it was cringy. But at the time, like, they were going for a certain thing, and, you and I were eating it up as it was playing out. It wasn't until later on, when you look back on it, like a lot of stuff, that you say, oh, this is kind of garbage. But really, honestly, Vince Russo Unfiltered with WCW was unwatchable.
It really was.
And at that point, you have to ask yourself, how much did he really bring to the table when his ideas Unfiltered were just complete garbage?
Yeah, they were garbage. Absolute garbage. Michael Scalamini here asks, started rewatching Lucha Underground while deployed and honestly loved the cutscene nature of the show. Do you think AEW or any promotion would benefit from doing this or not? If so, what style should it be filmed in? So I wonder if, I don't think WWE has any inclination to change the visual language of their wrestling show. They've been doing it for 40 years or whatever. I don't think they're going to change because it's worked for them.
Yeah.
I think the issue with an approach like Lucha Underground is that it takes time and it costs money.
Yeah, right, yeah.
When you shoot stuff cinematically, it takes more time than just setting up a camera and having someone drop a promo.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if that's something that can be used on a regular basis 52 weeks a year.
Yeah,
Lucha Underground was not on every week. They had seasons. So they could produce this stuff up.
Yeah.
If you're a weekly touring wrestling show, I just don't know if there is the time to do that. I do miss, I say this all the time, I miss the fly on the wall stuff Impact used to do. I wish we'd see more of that.
I agree. I think that's the one element of production that WWE and AEW, I would love to see them bring, because it's not that different from what they do now,
Nope.
but it is a very interesting and more organic way of capturing moments. As far as the Lucha Underground stuff, it's a very specific thing. I think if WWE or AEW caught wind that they thought they can get ratings with it, they might. I don't think that there's any chance. I personally don't see that format being something that would do anything but tank their ratings. It's so different, and I think it's great. I think it's awesome, but it's so different from what millions of people watch every week that it'd be like when Vince put WWF on Turner. It's like, what is this shit? Like, it's like, why are they doing this like little mini movies? Is this like a Hollywood Goes LA thing again? What is going on right now? So yeah, I don't think that they would do it. And I don't really think they'd benefit from it. If WWE ever decided to try out like a little sub mini promotion thing, and like NXT, but even like lower than that, and give a go. I'd be interested in it, but I don't suspect it would do anything business wise. You're right; it costs a lot of money to do that.
Yeah, it does. It does. We can lightning round a few questions. Nikyle here asks, when is John Gargano returning to Raw?
I don't know. It was his birthday the other day.
Yeah, it was on Monday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on Monday. I don't know. Hopefully,
they
soon.
just had a show in Cleveland.
Cleared.
He wasn't even on there. He's from Cleveland.
Yeah, apparently he's been cleared. He's ready to go. He maybe they're waiting. Maybe Triple H is having him wait out Vince. I don't know, because Vince seems to not want to be into the way, and I think Triple H really wants to do that. So
maybe it's more of a DIY thing where Triple H really wants Ciampa and Gargano get back.
That could be. Yeah.
Don't know. Aussie here asks, at what point do you think Kaiser and/or Vinci turn on Gunther and start moving down their own paths? Do you think it's a few years or within the next year? The way Gunther's talking, it's going to happen next week, at least with Vinci.
No kidding. Yeah, I could see Bartel. I could totally see Marcel Bartel turning on Gunther at some point. I could see them rolling with him big time. Yeah. I don't know. I think that Fabian Eichner, I think he's a really good wrestler.
He is.
But Bartel is getting there as a character. He's really coming to his own. He really is. Yeah, I want to see it for Giovanni Vinci too, though.
Yeah. Time Moore here asks, why are wrestling fans fickle? Fickle. Yeah. Are we just conditioned to believe that the first bit of a story not going the way we like means it's ruined, and have storylines these days improve when it comes to dealing with ups and downs and quality?
Man, here's the thing. I don't view it as fickle. I view it as responding to the changing nature of narrative stories. If there's a shit season of a TV show, people are going to complain about it. But if that TV show picks up a new showrunner and they start putting out some really cool stuff, they're going to like it. Yeah. And I think wrestling is the same way. There's also, I think you referred to it as like Vince PTSD, or I did, or somebody did, where we're so conditioned for decades of all these weird Vinceisms and sometimes just plain illogical storytelling. I mean, the last 3 or 4 years of Vince has been were almost unwatchable. Kind of it was horrible. Like he would obviously, it was so lazy, and he would forget shit, and it became obvious that he simply was not fit to be running that show or the shows. And I think we got used to that. So people are less willing to let things play out, when at this point they should probably let things play out a bit.
Yeah. No, agreed. Justin Sider says, in honor of the Frito burrito returning with spicy Fritos. This is news to me.
Yeah, I didn't know about this either.
What match type should make a comeback, and how would you spice it up? This is what you do. You do an Inferno match.
Yeah,
but
it's
a Del Taco Inferno match. Rather than flames coming up around the ring, they shoot hot sauce towards the competitors.
Wow. Get that in your eye. Yeah, that might
I know.
Be good. I like the Inferno match. I'm going to say you do something like maybe like a pizza place integration where it's a beat the clock challenge, but it's when the oven timer goes off. When the pizza's ready to be it.
That's good. And if the match is over by the time the pizza's done, guess what? Someone else gets the pizza, not the winner of the match.
Right, exactly, yeah.
That's good. Just a Hippo asks, if Edge went to AEW, what would his name be?
Adam Copeland.
Just a Hippo suggests Cliff.
Yeah, it's terrible. I saw that too. I silently judged him.
It'll probably just be Adam Copeland. Pearl Jam fan number 1.
Okay, what's a Pearl Jam song he could be?
See, that's interesting.
Named after.
What about Deep?
Oh, that's good. What about Red Mosquito?
Okay.
There's one.
That's something. That's one. Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of like what we're doing right now. Let's see what other ones are there. Pearl he could be Jeremy. Oh man, how about this? The Ledbetter.
Oh, there we go. Edge had a Pearl Jam podcast at one point where
Yeah,
they talk about
that.
live shows.
How about this? Better Man.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Oh, here we go. Essentials. We'll go into his. Oh, how about this? Oh my God, who's here in the AEW zone? It's elderly woman behind the counter.
What about Dissident?
Nothing Man. Oh, that's good. Nothing Man.
How about this? So when he shows up at AEW, they play "Off He Goes" from No Code.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, yeah,
Off
I
he
like
goes
that.
to AEW.
Off he goes. Yeah, that's good. The Black Circle.
There's plenty of good options here.
Yeah. There's plenty of good options here.
All right. After a Pearl Jam song, that's
Lightning Bolt.
Jack Napier, would you rather never have a long boy chicken sandwich again or never watch AEW again?
You know what he should do? I'm sorry, I'm stuck on this. You know what he should do?
Yeah.
Take a couple of like his favorite bands, and do the thing that like didn't what's his face? Corey Graves on the indie circuit. I think he took like Maynard's name. It was like Maynard.
Yeah.
I forget
Maynard
what his
from Tool.
Yeah, Maynard from Tool, and then he used like another name for his second.
Yeah.
So knowing that Edge loves Pearl Jam,
he should be Stone, Mike, Jeff.
That's a lot. It'd
Vetter.
be Stone Vetter.
Stone Vetter, yeah.
That's a cool name right
Stone
there,
Vetter.
man. That's yeah.
All right, Jack Napier. Would you rather never have a long chicken sandwich again or never watch AEW again?
So let's divorce ourselves from the idea that this is our job.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I could make myself a pretty good chicken sandwich. Like, I could make that for myself. I could put on a bunch of mayonnaise and chop up the lettuce real fine and stuff and be a decent facsimile of the Long Boy chicken sandwich. The only thing it doesn't have is the nostalgia factor.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that chicken patty, it's not unique.
No, it's not. It's the same, probably the same one you got in middle school.
I know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can go to Winco and find like a pretty decent. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be that. It's fine. It's fine. I'll never go to Burger King. I wouldn't want to, but I could probably stop going to Burger King for the rest of my life and be fine.
Yeah, I think so too.
I could probably be fine.
Yeah. Alex Foster asks, at what point does it become too late for a wrestler to be pushed as a main eventer? For example, would it hypothetically be seen as a bad thing if Nakamura won the belt? Not at all.
So I understand. I think I get the point of the question, though. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. And I know that he has a lot of fans, and I'm a fan of his too. But Chad Gable.
Yeah.
I've seen this sentiment on Twitter and whatnot. People saying, oh, man, he's basically just Kurt Angle. Push him to the moon. The problem is, for the past 5 years, he's been a big nothing. And in the world, like, dude, when you're watching, like, I don't know, TV shows or movies or whatever that have stretched over seasons, you got to see the journey of somebody develop into a major player.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that can't come quick. And it's difficult for me to forget that there's been 5 years of Chad Gable being underused, being Shorty G, being a guy who just doesn't ever win matches for me to believe he's going to take that title off Gunther.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
And so the same thing with Nakamura. I would love for them to put the title on him, but I also appreciate that they know that he has been done such a disservice. They put him with, I love Boogs, but they put him with Boogs.
I know.
And they just made him into a big nothing. He was a guy who couldn't win matches.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm supposed to believe he can win a match against Seth Rollins. Well, I liked what they're doing with his character, and that his character realizes that. So he's trying to overcome that. I kind of wish there was a build to this, though, where we see him dominating a lot more people than just Bronson Reed.
I know. I mean, in Nakamura's case, he's been a 50-50 wrestler since he's come back.
Mm-hmm.
Now that Triple H, took over creative.
Yeah.
You're right. Now, if it's a situation with Gable where they're like, all right, we're going to give a main event push, and within 2 months, he's contending for the World Heavyweight Championship, no, I don't think he has any chance to win it.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But if they take a year and a half.
Oh, yeah.
To build the story and have him go on a winning streak and win more often than not.
Yeah.
Then it's believable. It just can't come out of nowhere. It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters if the wrestler's 30 or 40 or 50. If the story's intriguing and they're believable in the build up to them winning the title, no, I don't think there's ever a point where it's too late.
That's why there needs to be a why. Like, why is he winning all of a sudden? Yeah. It was a problem with Jinder. I believe if they took a year for Jinder to like build him up and tell us why he's good now, why is it he can compete now? If they told that story, I think Jinder would have been more of a success, or at least people would have bought into it more. But he came out of nowhere, and then he was the champion. It was like, oh, because it's a business, they're going to India. That's
I mean, the story was he got in really good shape,
which he did get in phenomenal shape.
Yeah, he got in phenomenal shape.
But it's like, let's see some like vignettes of him doing that, and then get him on the path to where he's winning, and people are like, oh my God, he got in such good shape. Now he's winning all the time.
Exactly. Carlos Diaz wants us to power rank some stings.
Oh, wow.
They are Surfer, Crow, Wolfpack, Joker, Main Event Mafia, and Darby's Weird Uncle. Okay. Crow's number one. Crow is top Sting.
Crow beat Hogan.
Gosh, I'm so tempted to say Joker Sting's number two. Joker Sting is a lot. I don't see a lot of it, but what I've seen is a lot of fun.
So I'll say this. Might be controversial. Sting never should have been Wolfpack. I'm going to put him at the bottom of the list.
I'm going to put Main Event Mafia Sting at the bottom. Simply, I don't know anything about Main Event Mafia Sting.
I just know from the Tito Ortiz video.
Yeah.
I think it was just Sting, but he didn't wear makeup.
I think so. But then he wasn't wearing the face paint when he did the 100 Jeff Jarrett. So if that's Main Event Mafia Sting, then that's higher on the list.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is that there's sort of a big unknown. But I was, man, I wouldn't mind going back and revisiting. Maybe somebody has like a video about the best of Main Event Mafia.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it was probably really entertaining.
Maybe. A lot of entertaining people in that faction.
Here's my power rank.
All right,
number one, top of the pops, is Crow Sting.
Crow.
To me, number two, it's AEW Sting. This dude is doing all sorts of crazy stuff. He's wildly entertaining, and he's responsible for my favorite moment in AEW ever, when Darby Allin lost the title to Rusev.
You call him Rusev?
I did. Number three is going to be Surfer Sting, because he's the guy who invented, or was the term Sting Money was invented for.
That's true. That's true.
And then it'll be Main Event Mafia, because I think he's probably just having fun doing that shit.
Yeah.
Then I got to put Joker Sting there. I just don't. Yeah, it's too much. I want to say he's cool and funny and everything. Maybe I just need more. Need to see more. And then finally is Wolfpack Sting.
All right. I'll go Crow.
Mm-hmm.
Tops. Surfer Sting.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Kurt Sting.
Yeah.
Then Joker. Then Mafia and the Wolfpack.
Yeah. Maybe I can revisit Wolfpack, but I don't know why. Why
it still didn't make a whole lot of sense while Sting would join the Wolfpack.
I don't know why.
They're still NWO.
Yeah, I know. It's just like enemy of my enemy is my friend. Is that what it was?
I don't know.
That's silly.
Because Luger was in it. He's like, sure, I'll be.
Oh, that could be
the Wolfpack.
It's like I've always wanted to try Red. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Any more questions?
There's plenty more. Here, but let's do this one from Mikey. If Jey Uso actually did quit and go to AEW, who should he feud with?
Oh, wow. CM Punk. He says, you think you're running a bloodline over here? You think you're Roman? He said, FTR Bald said that you're on par with Roman. I don't think so. I don't think so,
think
champ
so,
kind. I don't think so. He's no Roman Reigns. I know Joe Anoa'i.
Anoa'i.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that title off you, and then he does.
He does. Now I'm real world champion.
Oos. Yeah.
Josh Fatu is now real world champion.
Right, exactly. Who would you have him feud with?
See, I'd tell the story of him getting to that point.
Yeah, right.
So I was thinking other brother tag teams in AEW. Have him feud with Pentagon Jr. I think that'd be great. Awesome
there you go.
Match. That match would be phenomenal.
That's good. I like that. That'd be really
good. We'll end
on
on this one from our current Big Blue champion, the champ, Fear and Loathing.
Champ, Fear and Loathing.
Says, was last night the loudest boos for a heel since Seattle did it to Kevin Owens and Elias.
So we're talking about Monday Night Raw on Monday.
Yeah, with Dom getting booed. You couldn't even hear him talk, basically.
Yeah,
that's such a common occurrence with him.
It Monday was extra loud. I was kind of surprised, like, really oh my God, that's loud. Maybe it was the acoustics of the building, or maybe it was just the passionate fans. I don't know, but they really brought it. And I don't, maybe it did stand out, and he gets booed a lot, and they're really loud. But there was something different about Monday. I agree.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you hear Logan Paul wanted to pitch him and Dom in a tag team? It's like a super heel tag team. I don't hate it. I think that could be kind of cool.
No, I don't hate it either.
I also appreciate that Logan Paul's fantasy booking himself and stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of shows that he really likes doing that, you know?
Well, he understands the concept of getting heat and knows how it can be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
In the world of professional wrestling, that is.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. He knows about getting heat on the outside, too.
Yeah, he does. He does. That he does. All right. That's good.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Like we said earlier, if you want your question in on the Wednesday episodes, then go over to patreon.com/Stephen Larson, or you can click join on the YouTube. Also, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, everybody. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.